Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are for UFC 320, Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira 2, finally. And then we also have the co-main event, which I have a lot of interest in. Merab Divashvili, versus Corey Sandhagen. I've been sitting on a ticket for a while now I've got 3 fighters to be champion at the end of the year. It is Merab, Tom Aspinall, and Valentina Valanchenko. I was banking on Valentina maybe not fighting again this year. I was hoping that her fight versus Wiley Zhang wouldn't be until January or February, but I misgauged that. So I don't really have the best value on that parlay. It was only a plus 176 like 3 months ago. So it wasn't the greatest. So I kind of misjudged that. So I'm just hoping that it comes through. We'll have to wait and see on that. But sorry, I had to make an adjustment. I got to do some work to my area real soon. So, anyways, on to UFC 320. While I'm recording this, I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on PFL a little bit. Unfortunately, ESPN pulled one and it's only on ESPN Unlimited. It's not on ESPN Plus for some reason today. So, anyways, to get started into the UFC card, the first fight of the night is Hardy versus Walker. Walker just seems like at this stage of her career, she might just be a part-time fighter. I believe she's 0-2 in the UFC, and I'm assuming this is her probably last UFC fight. She probably has a 3-fight contract, and this is probably the last of it. I don't believe she's fought in almost like a year and a half or 2 years now. I think Hardy's going to be better everywhere, and she's going to be way stronger. I would not touch the over at the price that it's at. I believe the over is still like a minus 400. I would actually consider putting a sprinkle on Hardy inside the distance. I haven't looked at the number yet, but if it's plus 300, which I'm assuming it has to be because of the under 2.5 is right around a plus 300, I believe. So, I mean, I would actually consider that over anything in this fight. It's a stay away for me, but I like Hardy, but she's the minus 700. So, on to our next fight. Brahimaj versus Vanderford. The only thing that scares me with this fight is Vanderford is dating Paige Van Zandt, and I believe they do quite a bit of content together, whether if it's on podcast or whatever. So I'm kind of wondering whether or not his head's in the MMA game as much as it should be. But saying that, this is a horrible stylistic matchup for Brahimaj. It's just bad. I mean, he's gonna have to wrestle to beat Vanderford, and Vanderford's gonna be the better wrestler, and he's gonna be faster, quicker on the feet. So I like Vanderford to be better everywhere in this fight, as long as his head's in the game. So I have a strong lean towards Vanderford, but I'm gonna stay away from it just because there's just too many unknowns, at least for my likings. But he should be better everywhere. Then our next fight is Soriano versus Bertenikov. This is another one where Bertenikov probably should be 0-3 in the UFC, not 1-2. I think he was gifted his last win, but that's my opinion. I think Soriano is going to be the more dangerous striker, but really where he's going to have his advantage, I believe, is in wrestling and grappling. Veretennikov does not have very good takedown defense, and I would like to see Soriano take it to the mat as early as possible. If he does, I like him inside the distance, and I like him as a parlay piece quite a bit. I'm playing him on a parlay that I've played. I will be showing a few I'm going to be showing a lot of different stuff towards the end because I ended up doing some stuff this week for the first time for another company called Bet Cloud. If you want to check them out, if you want to check out my Twitter, the last 3 or 4 days I've been posting things for them. So, anyways, this is the next fight we got. Patchy Mix versus Will Calls. Will Calls making his UFC debut, which once again, he's got to wrestle to win. I think Patchy Mix is the better striker here. And I think on the mat, he's just more experienced. And I think he's the better wrestler also. I just think Mix is just going to be a little bit better everywhere. I actually lean for Mix to get a finish in this fight, and I like him a lot as a parlay piece. And I will be pulling those parlays up later on during the recording, and you will be able to see what I like. Then I've got Chiasson versus Santos. I like Chiasson here. I like the over. I like her on the money line. I think on the feet, it could be fairly close. But once she takes it to the mat, I think she's going to have a pretty large advantage on the mat. I don't think she'll be able to finish Santos, but this is what I played. I played Chiasson by decision plus 160. I just thought the value was pretty strong there. Very seldom do you get a minus 200 favorite at a plus 160 on the decision prop. Now her KO prop, or I can't remember if it's KO or submission, one of those is like a plus 220. That's probably why we're getting good value on the decision. But I like this a lot. Shit. Sorry. Long day. But so I played her on the decision prop. Our next fight is going to be Santos versus you. This is basically going to be striker versus grappler here. Santos is going to try and grapple. You is going to try and keep it on the feet. I like him to keep it on the feet for the most part. Even if he does get taken down, I like to see him getting back up fairly quick. So I'm going to take you on the money line. I haven't played it. I'm going to look at his KO prop and see what that is. I might sprinkle that because that's going to be his pathway to victory is KO. I like that. I like that look quite a bit with him is on the KO prop. Then our next fight is Gutierrez versus Basharat. Trying to read my notes, sorry. Basharat's going to be better everywhere. About the only area that Gutierrez is going to be better is maybe with his leg kicks. I look for Basharat to like keep those leg kicks, limit those a little bit, and I like for him to be the better striker and the better wrestler. I do think it's going to go all 3 rounds though, so I do like the over. And I do like Basharat on the money line as another parlay piece. His line is a little wide though, so I probably prefer to take him by decision. But even his decision prop is like a minus 200. It's crazy, crappy odds. So the next fight is going to be Shabazian versus Munez. This is another fight where I think it's going to be one-way traffic. As long as Shabazian is smart and keeps this fight on the feet, he's going to find a knockout. Now, if he's dumb and goes to the ground with Munez, then Munez will be live for a submission. So if you want to play sub Munez, KO Shabazian, I don't hate that at all. But the odds are probably minus 200. It's probably crazy, horrible odds. I'd rather just play Shabazian inside the distance or Shabazian KO. I played him on the money line as a parlay piece. With another parlay, I will pull that parlay up at the end. Sorry, I'm yawning my ass off today. And then we've got a replacement fight. Gautier was supposed to fight Diaz. Diaz had to pull out. I don't remember why. Now he's fighting a newcomer, Vines. I don't know much about him at all. All I know is Gautier is a minus 1600. The over 1.5 rounds is like a plus 500. Yes, you heard it right. Plus 500 for the over 1.5. So a KO prop is probably like a minus 500 for him. So that's not even worth doing it. I'm going to see if I can find a gone in 60 seconds prop. In other words, Gautier has to win the fight in the first minute of the fight. And if the odds are decent, like plus 150 range, plus 250, something like that, I might sprinkle a couple dollars on it just for something to do, some fun. But other than that, I don't have any interest in this fight. And then our next fight is going to be Magomedov versus Pfeiffer. Sorry, I'm just checking to see who won this last PFL fight because I got him in a parlay piece and the guy that I took freaking lost. He was a minus 450. Lofren. And this is why PFL is tough because there's a lot of unknowns in the PFL. So he was a minus 450 and he lost a unanimous decision. I see. Wow. That's crazy. So anyways, we got Magomedov versus Joe Pfeiffer. This is going to be one of my first times ever fading a OV. But I think Pfeiffer's going to be the better boxer. And Pfeiffer can wrestle his ass off pretty good too. So I think he's going to be competent on the wrestling, but I think he keeps his fight standing for the most part. And he's just got so much more power. So much more power. He's the better striker anyways. I like Joe Pfeiffer to eventually find a knockout in this fight. So that's my lean, Joe Pfeiffer by KO. And I do have Joe Pfeiffer in a parlay also. Our next fight is going to be Emmett versus Zalal. I think Zalal's just going to be better everywhere. And I think he's one of our best defensive-minded fighters that we have in the UFC. He's hard to even hit. He's going to be so much faster and he's the better grappler here also. I think he's just going to pick Josh Emmett apart for 3 rounds. I think Emmett's strong enough and durable enough to last the 3 rounds. So I do like Zalal by decision here. I haven't really looked at the odds on decision, but I do like that a lot. So that's going to be my play on that. Then we've got Yuri Prochazka versus Khalid Roundtree. This one here I've gone back and forth on a lot. I really like Prochazka as a fighter, but I think Roundtree's the better technical striker here. I think he's going to be stay safer. Prohashka can sometimes get a little crazy and nutty at times. I think my favorite play in this fight is actually the over 1.5. I actually played it beginning of the week at minus 130. I think I saw it at like minus 140 earlier. It might be climbing to a minus 145 now. If you don't like playing those odds, play it with something else. Play it with, Marab over 2.5 rounds or something like that, something safe just to get it down to even money if you want. But that's one of my singles is the Prohashka versus Roundtree over 1.5 rounds at a minus 140. I do lean Prohashka to get it done, but it's a no bet for me. I'm not going to put anything on this. And then our next fight, we've got Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen. I like Merab here a lot. I know there's some people that are going to take a stab with Corey Sandhagen. I honestly don't understand why, but to each his own. The way I look at it is Merab beat Umar and was able to wrestle versus Umar. Corey Sandhagen actually lost to Umar, and Umar was able to wrestle versus Corey Sandhagen. So what makes you think that Corey Sandhagen is going to be able to stop Merab's pressure wrestling and all of his takedowns and just grapple fucking him for 5 rounds? I mean, do I think that Merab gets a finish? No. I think Corey Sandhagen is good enough on the ground to where he's going to stay safe. But I think Merab's going to have his way with him. I think he's going to be able to do whatever he wants with him on the ground except submit him. I very well could be wrong, but I don't think I am here. And a lot of people always want to question Merab's chin just because he's almost been knocked out before. I mean, the key word is almost. He still hasn't been, but he almost has. So, I mean, who's striking is better? O'Malley's or Corey Sandhagen's? I mean, granted, Corey Sandhagen's takedown defense is probably better than Sean O'Malley's, but I still don't think he's going to have much of a problem taking Corey Sandhagen down. So I like fight. I wanted to play Merab by decision, but this is also my first leg of my 3-piece parlay I have for the end of the year, so I don't want to have too much invested into him. So what I've been looking at is fight to end by unanimous decision minus 185, because one, I don't see this going to a split decision. I guess it could. I mean, if you want to just play Merab by decision at minus 200, go ahead. I've seen it as high as minus 250 though. I've seen it as low as minus 195 and as high as minus 250. It was minus 165 beginning of the week or like a week ago. But those lines are long gone. So there's not a lot of value here. So what I'm going to do, just to have a small play on this, is I'm going to play fight to end by unanimous decision, and then I'm going to add the Chiasson fight over 1.5 rounds to it, and I believe it brings it down to like a minus 110. So that's what I'm going to do. But that's what I like in that fight. I do like Merab as a parlay piece. I'm just not going to get too crazy with it because of my invested ticket on Merab, Tom Aspinall, and Valentina Shevchenko being champions at the end of the year. And then we've got our main event. We've got Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira too. I like Ankalaev again. I think he's just a better technical striker. I think his unorthodox striking is going to keep Alex Pereira off balance again in this fight once again. And he's the better wrestler. He's a better grappler too. Like he's just got more ways to win. Alex Pereira basically has to find the kill shot in order to beat him. Alex Pereira is not going to win a 5-round fight versus Ankalaev. If you want to sprinkle Alex Pereira by KO at plus 300 or plus 350, whatever it is, I don't mind that at all. But this is what I'm playing. I'm playing the over 3.5 at minus 130. I'm playing Ankalaev money line and over 1.5 rounds at minus 135. If you want to go over 2.5 rounds and on the money line, it brings it down to basically even money, down to a minus 105. Those are the two plays I like in this fight. Now, the one thing I will say is when I've got similar wagers, I don't recommend wagering all of them. I recommend picking one of them. Like, I'm going to pull up some of my parlays and you'll be able to see more what I'm talking about. Trying to figure out how to. No, I screwed that up. There we go. I was just trying to pull it up so I could see it better. So I've got some parlays. I've got Merab over 3.5 rounds, Chiasson over 1.5 rounds, and Ankalaev start the third round plus 101. Then I've got Soriano on the money line, Patchy Mix on the money line, Shabazian on the money line plus 126. And then this next parlay is one that I gave out for that Bet Cloud. I only added it in here because I've already played it. And that's Chiasson over 2.5 rounds, Merab over 4.5 rounds, minus 119. And this is kind of what I'm saying. Like if you look at this Chiasson Merab parlay minus 119 and look at my first parlay, there's a lot of similarities between the two. So if you're going to play one, like if you're going to play them, play one or the other. I wouldn't play both. I just don't recommend doing that just in case something happens and it backfires. And then I've been doing these strike prop parlays and doing pretty good at them. Last week it blew up in my face, but I'm going to go right back to it. And I'm going to do Prohashka 20 plus strikes, Roundtree 20 plus significant strikes, Ankalaev 40 plus, and Pereira 30 plus, minus 109. Now, one other play I'm going to be looking at, which is underneath my singles, is, let me see if I can go over there and get it first. If I can figure out how to do this. Figure out how to make myself smaller and pull up my stuff. So I'm going to go straight to the bottom first. And it's both Ankalaev and Pereira to both have 75 plus significant strikes plus 210. If you like this fight to go to go the distance, this is very likely to happen. Last fight, Pereira had 76, Ankalaev had like 94. I like Alex Pereira to at least make some adjustments and maybe get a few more strikes in. So I think Ankalaev is going to be closer to 100 and Pereira is going to be closer to 80. Granted, it's probably going to be a sweat if it does come through, but I think at a plus 210, it's worth a look. And then at the top, I've got my singles. Prohashka versus Roundtree over 1.5 rounds, minus 140. We've already talked about that. We've already talked about Chiasson by decision plus 160. I talked about Merab fight to end by unanimous decision minus 185, or you can still find Merab by decision at minus 195. And I would add that. I would add something to that. I'm a sucker for plus money or anything near even money. Ankalaev versus Pereira over 3.5 rounds minus 130. Ankalaev over 1.5 rounds and on the money line minus 135. And both Ankalaev and Pereira to have 75 plus significant strikes plus 210. That's going to be just a little sprinkle for me. I'm probably not going to put much on that, to be honest. So that's my board for UFC 320. I hope everyone enjoys the video. If you know anybody that's, looking for a new video, I'm always looking for new subscribers. Just trying to grow a little bit as I go here, and just get a little bit better each time. So just trying to improve this. This is kind of a work in progress for me, and I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you very much for watching this.